The Once and Future Nerd is independently produced. If you're enjoying the show and would like to support us, visit onceandfuturenerd.com/support to find out how you can help. Listening to this show on an iOS device? Leave us a rating on iTunes, please.
Blackhold was under siege. The very foundations shook as Orc warriors ferociously assaulted the main gates with a battering ram the size of a wood serpent. General Kerr, the esteemed commander of Blackhold, stood atop the highest parapet, alone but for his longbow, a bucket of arrows, and a noose hanging from a high above bell tower. Kerr loosed arrow after arrow into the Orc hordes. Most hit their marks, but it made no matter, the Orc numbers were too great. The next crash was accompanied by a splintering noise. The Orcs were through the gates. Kerr continued to loose arrow after arrow as his men fought valiantly in the corridors of Blackhold. One distinctive figure cut a path of destruction through the defenders. General Traft, the half-orc rebel general, swung his double-bladed scythe with a deadly grace. Guardsman after guardsman fell to Traft's brutal dance. Kerr continued to loose his arrows until it was clear all hope was lost. Calmly, Kerr launched 2 final arrows before laying down his bow. He climbed up to the noose. Traft, seeing this, broke into a sprint through the chaos of battle. Kerr maneuvered his head into his noose, while Traft was still 24 paces away. As General Kerr kicked away his bucket, Traft flung his scythe. The gleaming blade spun through the air, flecks of blood spraying off of it as it flew. Kerr fell. The noose tightened, until the scythe blade sliced cleanly through the rope above the general's head. The old man fell to the ground, his ankles breaking loudly at the impact. Kerr opened his eyes to see the rebel Traft grinning, and then the horde was upon him. The Once and Future Nerd. Book 1, Princes of Jordan. Chapter 6.
The Singing Sister.
Episode 1. Outside of Armstrongard, a pair of garbage collectors were making their rounds early in the morning. As one approached the base of a cliff far below the walls of a reclusive monastery, a putrid stench wafted towards her. She found the remains of a human, smashed from the long fall from the monastery above. The body, as you may remember, belonged to Sir Jasper Frieshelm, and had been thrown off this cliff by Brennan and Regan after the battle of the previous evening. With a sigh, the garbage woman set to her task.
Hey Janice, get over here.
A second garbage collector stumbled out from behind the hill, dragging behind her an overflowed bag of refuse in one hand. In the other, she awkwardly held the leads to 2 pack horses. The horses were yoked as if to pull a cart, but instead of a cart, they dragged more trash bags awkwardly along the ground behind them. The first trash collector stared at her colleague in confusion.
Where's the wagon?
I sold it.
You sold it?
Yeah, we're rich, Elsa.
You sold it in the last 10 minutes. Rich? What do you mean rich? Who'd you sell it to?
To a knight for 20 gold pieces. Still think I wouldn't know good business if it bit me in the ass?
Let me see.
Well, he didn't pay me yet.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, please?
Yeah, his liege's seat was just usurped, so he needed the cart to go back to the castle, restore the rightful line, and then he's gonna send us our gold. With interest.
Oh, God's help us, Janice.
What?
You've been had, you moron. And this time you drag me down with you. That wasn't no knight.
You didn't see the guy. He had the kind of face you can trust.
Oh, he had the kind of face you can trust? That's why you gave away our livelihood?
Real earnest-looking old fella. Looked kind of sickly, too.
Nearby, Brennan sat in the driver's seat, of a slightly malodorous cart, being pulled by the late Sir Frieshelm's horses. Sir Brennan did not look well. The sickness from the untreated arrow wound in his arm had finally caught up to him, and he was pale and sweaty. Billy, Jen, and Nelson rode in the back of the cart. Jen was covered up to her neck in loose hay. Billy was tending to her red and swollen neck, carefully dabbing the last of Nia's icy slush over the injuries. The wagon approached a guardhouse blocking their path.
You be okay for a few minutes?
At a weak nod from Jen, Billy and Nelson covered the girl completely with hay. By the time the cart reached the guardhouse, Jen was all but invisible.
Where to, old-timer?
Never heard of sentries guarding the exits of a city?
Been a string of killings lately.
The city guard seeks for questioning a young woman with gold hair who may be connected to the murder of Sergeant Jamie McShane. She was last seen travelling with an elf and an acolyte. Any information which leads to the location of such persons will be generously rewarded.
Sorry to say we know little of the local gossip. These two are but simple troubadours, and I am their escort to the house of my lord for his harvest and feast.
That'll be fine. Just pay the exit toll, and you're free to go.
Exit toll? I've never heard.
It dawned on Brennan to whom this toll would truly be paid.
I am a knight of the realm.
Night, eh? Well, that's nice. The cock-sore of the thing is, though, the toll just tripled. Didn't it?
Tripled.
Been a rough year for the city.
Rough year.
So you understand that what you're asking is counter to the law and punishable by forfeiture of property?
Do you want to leave, or do you want to waste our time?
As the guards dickered with Brennan over the fee, a figure in a dirty hooded robe stumbled out of a nearby alley behind the guards. This personage stumbled and tripped as if incredibly drunk, and clutched a small bottle. The guards paid no notice.
So be it. I travelled without coin, but perhaps in its stead you would accept a free performance from this talented troupe.
No, not at all.
Boys?
Why do we have to sing? Why can't I learn to lightning the shit out of someone?
Just do it.
Reluctantly, Billy and Nelson climbed out of the wagon. They stood awkwardly in front of the guards, each looking to the other for guidance on how to begin.
This better fucking be good.
Better be good.
With a deep breath, Billy dove into his performance.
Yo, Nelson! Drop 16 bars on their asses!
Seriously?
Billy shrugged. The boys fidgeted in awkward silence.
Know any Led Zeppelin?
Some.
Let's sing one of their songs about hobbits.
Led Zeppelin doesn't have songs about hobbits.
Led Zeppelin has like 20 songs about hobbits.
I don't know any of those. AC/DC?
Okay, what song?
The one they play on the classic rock station.
I don't listen to the classic rock station.
What the fucker?
Billy belted out a guttural sound, which I suppose could be compared to singing. The guards were transfixed by the boys' strange performance. As this performance continued, the drunkard stumbled into the first guard briefly before wandering away.
Beg your pardon, Constable.
The guard did not even turn, engrossed as he was by the boys' so-called singing. As the boys continued their performance, Nia and Yeluine paused at the intersection of one dark, shady alley and another darker and shadier alley, squinting to recall the route Regan had suggested.
Yes, I'm certain this was the way she said.
I just want this business behind us. My parents would die if they knew my life had come to this.
Nia decisively led them into the darker alley, Yeluine reluctantly following. As they hurried, they passed an old man sitting on the ground in the shadows, covered in dirt and with a grimy cloth wrapped around his head. He called to them hoarsely.
Spare some coin for an old man what's lost his sight.
We've none to spare.
I'm sorry.
The two continued quickly along the alley until Nia suddenly stopped.
Wait.
And turned back towards the old beggar.
Even if we did, there's no time.
The blind man has seen the face of God. This may be a coincidence, but I must know.
We're in something of a hurry in case you've forgotten.
Who's that?
My name is Nia. I'm an acolyte.
You talk like a college girl.
Order of the Quill. Before that, I was a farm girl from Seold, though. You talk like someone from near there, isn't it?
I can't quite place your particular dialect, though.
Try not to get hung up on what's past. Got a coin to spare for an old country boy down on his luck?
I've no coin, but this incense will fetch a decent price at market.
Oh, thank you, dearie. And may Galadon smile on you.
It's not charity, brother. I'm buying information, paying a toll on the path to the face of God.
There's that college girl again.
Did you see anything last night?
I ain't seen nothing in quite a while.
So you've not been blind since birth, then. May I ask what happened?
Hunting accident.
Whatever you're doing, we need to be at the rendezvous.
Pray forgive my bluntness, but I think that's a lie. I think you've seen something which most men do not see in their lives.
Suddenly, fear was plain on the beggar's face.
I'm sure you've ample reason for not wanting to speak of it, but in Galadin's name, I must know what you've seen.
It wasn't me. I saw, but please believe me, it weren't by my hand.
What wasn't by your hand?
The prince.
At the gatehouse, the boys continued their performance. The drunken figure stumbled up to the cart and put an unsteady hand onto Brennan's shoulder.
Spare some goodwill so I can break my fast. Or maybe buy some God-stamped earplugs.
I cannot help you. Please step off my property.
A small pile of coins quietly slid from the drunkard's robes into Brennan's lap.
Everybody's all charity and goodwill. Till it comes out of their purse.
Enough of this shit.
Yeah, enough.
The boys stopped singing abruptly. Billy actually looked somewhat disappointed. The drunkard collapsed next to the cart and began snoring loudly.
Payment now.
Very well.
Meanwhile, in the alley...
Nia, they are preparing to leave. If we don't...
What prince?
They was lying when they said a servant in Caridian done it. I seen who done it. Weren't no servant. Sure as I'm breathing, that was Radian the very same in that woman's body.
I think I believe you.
I tried to stop it. I had my bow.
Her face. I need to know what that woman looked like.
I never saw her face.
No, you must have.
Back was to me the old time. And to Galadon. And you know I've the fear of the gods in me. But I'll never forget the way that prince looked at her. Like he knew her almost.
Nia stared at the old beggar, confusion evident on her face. Yelloween's patience ran out, however. He grabbed Nia's arm and pulled.
Come on.
Thank you for your time, brother. And may Galadin smile on you.
Yelloween dragged the acolyte away, and the two ran down the alley, away from the man formerly known as Peter of Brimshire. At the guardhouse, the boys climbed back into the cart, as Brennan dropped a few coins into the guard's outstretched hand.
Still a little light.
When the guard continued to offer his hand, the old knight made a show of grimacing and passed along the rest of his coin. With a smug grin, the guard dropped his bounty into a purse on his waist. One by one, the coins vanished into the cloth pouch, only to fall out of a tiny hole in the bottom. The sleeping drunk caught each coin quick as a cat before they could fall onto the ground to make a sound.
All right, on your way. You too, you lush. Find somewhere else to sleep. God damn it. There used to be some respect for the law and order in this city.
The guard planted a kick in the drunkard's ribs. The drunkard, in return, reluctantly stood up and shambled along behind the cart, out of the city. Confused, the guard shook his foot in pain. A few minutes later, Brennan reined in the horses at a small supply gate in the city wall, out of sight of the guardsmen. Perfectly timed, Nia and Yelloween emerged from the supply gate and climbed aboard the cart. The drunkard, now appearing quite sober indeed, jumped gracefully into the cart as well. Regan, of course, dropped her hood and jingled her own now full purse with pride.
Well, those two were about as useful as a suit of crotchless armor. I appreciate the contribution to the royal treasury, though. How you doing back there, girlie?
Jen wiggled her head free of the hay and managed a slight wave towards Regan, but immediately winced at the movement.
Allow me.
Nia tended to the girl's neck gently, conjuring some wisps of icy moisture out of the air to soothe the wounds. As she did so, Yilui noticed Brennan's pale face as well.
Sir Brennan, why don't you let me take the reins for a little while?
I'm fine.
I'm sure you are, but I know all the best routes to the White Forest.
Very well.
The party drove the wagon all day and into the evening. The White Forest first appeared as barely a speck on the horizon, but as the wagon drew closer, the forest loomed large under a blood-red moon.
Stay on this road for another 4 miles, then look for a smaller road heading southwest.
Nia, how they doing back there?
Nia climbed to the front of the wagon.
How much longer to the entrance of the forest?
If we keep this pace and only stop to water the horses, I think we can be there before noon tomorrow.
I think I can keep the swelling in Jen's throat down that long, but we can't afford to lose much time.
And Sir Brennan?
He's a hardy man, but
I don't want either of them sleeping tonight. Too easy for them to not wake up.
With much effort, Brennan pulled himself to the front of the wagon as well.
I'd rather be party to this dialogue than the family hunt talked about in hushed tones.
Same here.
very well. We need you both to not sleep tonight, just as a precaution.
So, if anyone has ideas for how to keep them awake for the next 18 hours or so, I'm all ears.
Just before I met you all, I was preparing to give a talk on the concept of divine avatars in the literature of antiquity. I won't remember all the citations, but I think I could.
The goal is to keep them awake, remember?
I kind of want to hear that one.
A priest, an orc, and a human walk into a tavern.
I know this one. The punchline is, my fist walks into your face.
We could tell stories. I'll start. In a hole in the ground, there lived a...
Copyright.
Huh?
That cart up ahead just turned right. You should copy it.
This isn't the first time I've looked at the jolly farmer in the eyes under the blood moon. Would you like to hear of the other times?
A little morbid there, but morbid's interesting.
Very well. I first faced death on the feast of my 11th year. I was just a lad, not even 11 years, the first time I met King Gunther, and the first time death tried to claim me. This is one of those times whose memory slices through the fog of age. My father had called my sister and me in from our chores to give us the news. Damn it, Brennan. I told you go easy. I just sharpened it.
Sorry, Da.
Come inside a minute, lad. I need to talk to you.
Ah.
The High Prince, young Gunther of House Squarnatal, has chosen to honor our farmstead with a visit. It's a great honor. Some go their whole lives never laying eyes on a member of the royal family. My father, you see, held the royal family in as high regard as the faithful should. I'm ashamed to say I didn't feel the same at the time. But we must work hard to prepare for the royal visit. All the summer's honey and last winter's ale must be devoted to the feast. We'll eat dry bread and drink grog until then. Also, Fiona, I need your bacon every day. Spare none of our reserves. Only the best for His Highness. You understand, Brennan, that you want to be able to make you one of your ma's maple tarts this year. My sister was born without speech, but we learned to understand each other as brother and sister must. I knew by the sound she made that she truly was sorry.
It's not your fault, Fiona.
And you can wipe that sore look right off your face, lad.
The prince needs a bunch of farmers to cook for him. Ain't he got enough gods damned?
For the last time, you'll not blaspheme in my house. Nor will you speak ill of royalty. He and his men keep us safe. Food's the least we can give them in return. Now will you weep over some sweets like a little girl, or will you accept your debts like a man? The argument was not a new one. I was young and strong-willed and stupid. Our arguments often ended with me earning a beating. This one, though, was stopped by a knock on our door. I opened it to find one of our neighbour.
Mr. McAndrews.
Brennan? May I come in?
What brings you to my home, Alistair?
The missus wanted me to ask if you had any honey you could spare.
Afraid I can't part with any. Prince's feast and that.
Prince's feast?
Oh, haven't you heard?
I hadn't, but it figures. We had a good harvest this year. Could have maybe turned a profit.
Such is the way of things. You'd have nothing if the crown didn't keep all the bandits at bay.
If the princes of Jordan baked half as much bread for their subjects as they did for their feasts, maybe there wouldn't be so many bandits.
You know what your problem is, Alistair. You think that just because your carcass takes up space on Jordan that you're owed something. That somehow the rest of us, who work for our place in the world, should pay you for the air you breathe. Now get out of my house before you infect my children with your indolence.
I look forward to His Highness's speech about the generosity of the common farmer.
That's harsh, man. I think our dads would get along. Similar parenting styles.
He was a hard man, but he knew a diseased soul when he saw one.
I don't know, the dude sounds diseased.
Hush, boys, no more commentary. Best to let Sir Brennan return to his tale.
Aye. The next week passed rapidly. I did as I was told, even if I sulked the whole while. And then came the day I first laid eyes on Gunther. My father had us dressed in our finest, and to await the High Prince along the road. It took many oaths and even more bruises, but I was there with my family to greet Gunther. Hail! All hail His Highness Prince Gunther! We all knelt in the dust by the road until the Prince's herald addressed us, as protocol demanded.
Rise, please. Who is responsible for this plot?
I, Willem, son of Brandon, worked this plot gratefully and in faithful service to Lord Aaron Greyheart. May it please you.
Very good, Willem. His Highness requests some well water that he may wash before supper.
Gladly. Brennan. I went to fetch the water while the Prince's retinue dismounted. The Prince travelled with many men. I filled our largest water kegs. Even at 11 years I was taller and stronger than many men twice my age. Still, it took me some time to fill and carry the kegs. By the time I returned, Gunther was practicing with sword and shield in a clearing. It seemed my child's willfulness fled me in the presence of royalty. It was unseasonably warm out, and he trained with his shirt off. I could not interrupt him in a moment of concentration. You understand. Would be rude. When he finally noticed me, I was suddenly shy. I threw myself to my knees, eyes locked on the dirt at Gunther's feet.
Your Highness, the water you requested.
Thank you. You may rise. What do they call you, boy?
Brennan, may it please your Highness.
How many years do you have, Brennan?
Nearly 11, your Highness.
11? Big for your age. Strong, too, I'll bet. When do you turn 11?
On the morrow, your Highness.
Tomorrow? Well, that won't do at all. I'm having a feast tomorrow, and you know what they say about the peacock loathing the sparrow which stands next to it.
I was horrified. I couldn't believe how quickly I had offended my prince. How would we be punished for my insolence? My fear must have been evident on my face, as the prince gave a short laugh and put a hand on my shoulder.
Sorry, it was just a joke.
Oh, of course. Very good, your Highness.
A somewhat cruel one, I'll admit, but I meant you no personal insult. I'm not very good at this.
I hadn't noticed, your Highness.
Gods, is this as exhausting for you lot as it is for me?
The water, your Highness? No, not at all. It was my honour and pleasure.
Never you mind, Brennan. Run along now. I'm sure your father and sister could use your help.
I later learned that it was not at all what the prince meant. Gunther cared for his people more than he did for formalities, especially then. As he aged, he learned the import of bowing and the titles, but he never enjoyed it.
Sir Brennan paused in his tale, lost in his own memories. His eyes began to droop closed.
Hey! This shit was just starting to get interesting. You want the import of bowing and titles? I'm ordering you as queen to finish this story.
Very well, your grace. The royal feast was the next evening. We filled the village mead hall. There was food and music and dancing. The prince gave the speech that Alistair predicted.
His Majesty, my father, told me since my youth about the generosity and work ethic of the common farmer. But I didn't understand until I saw for myself, and now I can truly say that I am honored and humbled. I can think of no better example of this than Brennan, son of Willem, whom I met yesterday.
I could hardly believe what I was hearing.
He has 11 years today. Every boy deserves to celebrate his birth feast, even if a prince is around. Brennan, will you and your family sup with me?
I was overcome with pride. My father was happier than he had ever been since my ma died. We ate, we drank, all was well, until McAndrews arrived.
Everyone, come quick! The granary is on fire!
The merriment ended in a flash. For poor farmers like us, the granary was life itself. If we lost the stores of food, half our town would die of starvation in the coming winter.
I'll send some of my guard to help.
Please, your highness, That won't be necessary.
I insist.
The prince did one better. He himself rose to direct the efforts of his men. I tried to join the prince, but my father held me back. I mistrust this. Take your sister and go home.
I'm coming to help with the fire.
No! Listen to me. I'll help with the fire. You and Fiona wait in the hunting blind and watch the house. If anyone comes, run and fetch me right away. Do not dare do anything yourself, understand? My sister and I did as we were told, and hid to watch our house. I loved Fiona more than anything in Jordan or Selberine, and even without speech, she was sharper than a moon-silver arrowhead. As we waited in the hunting blind, we spoke in our own way.
I don't know what it is we're looking for. Probably nothing. Probably Da won't let me do anything, like always.
She gestured to me, as if chopping wood, and smirked.
Ugh, any idiot can do that.
That's all it took for her to know I was troubled. I denied it, of course, but she knew me too well. She asked me if I was worrying after some lass. She was always teasing me, embarrassing me in front of her friends. I told her it was not about a lass, and of course she didn't believe me. She started to prattle on about the prince's good looks. I wanted to hear none of that. Suddenly, though, she had a thought. Sharp, that one. As I said, she pointed toward the McAndrews farm and raised an eyebrow.
Don't be silly. He depends upon the granary too.
She pointed out that he must have been the only man in town not at the feast, and there was no reason for him to be at the granary in the middle of the night instead.
Maybe he really mislikes the prince that much. Good God. Fiona, stay here. If someone comes, get that. Do you understand? I'm going to leave you the horse, but I need to go now. Give me your word you won't do anything stupid.
The stupidity of children. I should have stayed with Fiona. She should have listened. Instead, I ran back to the mead hall. Through the red light of the blood moon, I could see smoke. I arrived to find the whole building ablaze. Men and women were dead everywhere, including many of the royal guard. Gunther himself was in the middle of the fight. He moved through the same pattern of strikes and parries as I watched him practice the day before. Only this time, he parried dark-cloaked Templars.
No one should have to face that as a child, or ever for that matter.
Wait, face what?
The Templars of Discord.
Dude, dibs on the band name.
The Templars of Discord are a militant cult of Garadian. Twisted, irredeemable souls, everyone.
Aye, to be sure. But as mages, they're all the more formidable for it. They fought Gunther's sword with wisps of blackness, darker than night itself. The prince was surrounded, his back to a wall, 3 hooded figures gesturing at him. With a flick of one Templar's wrist, Gunther's sword went flying. With another, his arms were pinned above his head with bones of night. I didn't think. There was no time to think. I'd grabbed my axe, my wood-cutting axe, on my way to the hall. I swung it, and the first Templar's head was rolling across the ground. That was the first man I ever killed. I swung at the next Templar's chest, and my axe lodged there. As I tried to dislodge it, the man's hood fell. It was Alistair McAndrews. He was the second man I ever killed.
Holy shit! Dude, you couldn't see that coming? Have you seen any movies ever?
Hush, children. What happened next?
Next, the third Templar summoned lightning and struck me.
Dramatic. But you're here telling us the story, so how'd you cut your way out of that one?
I wish I could say I woke up surrounded by the prince and my family. That Fiona made some joke with her hands about how stupid I am, and we all laughed. But that's not what happened. My sister wasn't there in that tent.
My God, she didn't...
No, she lived. My father didn't, though.
Oh, Galadin's mercy.
McAndrew's wife, also a Templar, it turned out, snuck back to my father's house and set it ablaze.
No shit.
The thing about the wicked is that they're often also petty. My sister, God damn it, she gave me her word. She thought she could stop the fire while it was still small. She got confused in the smoke. My father returned in time to save her, but the house collapsed before he got out. She never came to see me while I recovered. I think she was scared I'd blame her. I think part of me did. But not as much as I blamed Alice McAndrews. In any case, when Gunther invited me to join his army, I didn't have to think too hard.
The army? When you were 11?
The captain of Gunther's reinforcements asked the same thing. The prince himself invited me, and commanded his captain to accept me. I was still bedridden, recovering from the fight.
I wasn't that brave at his age. Some men are never that brave in their whole lives.
No doubt, Your Highness. And with all due respect, but I can only do so much with a boy.
Well, do it.
By your will, my prince. So, what do we do with her?
Alice McAndrews survived the fire, God's damn her. The prince's men had arrested her and had bound her with arms high above her head. The pain would distract her too much for her to focus on her spell, but knew not what to do with her.
Has she told us anything about the plans of the Templars?
Hasn't said a god's damn word for the last 2 days.
I suppose we must take her back with us.
My men won't like it. Waste of rations, they'll say.
I won't like it. But my father was very clear on the subject of summary execution, and this village is clearly in no state to hold a trial. Brennan, my boy, up and about, I see. Have you thought about my offer? Did my physician clear you to walk?
It was not clear to walk. I could barely even stand. But Alice McAndrews lived and my father did not. There was an axe near the captain's tent, a real battle axe. I'd never held one before, but in some ways, all axes are the same. You swing them, they cut things. I swung the axe, and swung it again, and again, and then she was dead. I walked back to the prince, dropped the bloody axe, and fell to my knees at Gunther's feet.
Arlene lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling. The first rays of the new morning revealed bags of sleeplessness under her eyes. There was a knock on her door.
Who's there?
Arlene, it's Rickard.
She went white.
I mean you no harm. I just wish to speak with you.
I don't wish to speak with you.
She climbed out of bed and clung to the wall farthest from her door.
I'll stay near to the door. You may stand as far away as you like.
Shaking, she picked up a brooch from her night table and hid it behind her back.
I'm going to open the door now. How are you feeling?
Arlene stared at him, incredulous at the question.
I mean, after the accident the other night.
Get out before I scream.
I request only a moment of audience.
I swear on my life.
No, shh, please, lest your brother hear.
That accident freed me from the stain of your crime. I'll die before I'm sullied again by the likes of you.
I come in peace and contrition.
Please
hear.
Will die.
She lifted the brooch and held the pin against her throat.
Come now, my lady, don't be ridiculous.
Some chivalrous instinct drove him a few steps towards her. In desperation, she pushed the pin up. Reflexes stayed Arlene's hand as Rickard rushed towards her, but as he neared, she turned the pin on him. He got his hands up just in time to save his own sight. At last, he managed to grab her hand and wrench the brooch free, but she used her free hand to besiege his face.
Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out! Leave me alone, you monster!
Amid the flurry of blows, Rickard got on his knees, took out his dagger, and placed it against his own throat with the hilt facing his cousin.
Take it. Kill me if you wish.
Trembling, she tentatively took hold of the knife.
I am vulnerable and at your mercy, my lady. Please hear me out.
Tears mixing with blood on the cleft of Arlene's shoulder, she narrowed her eyes and grazed the blade against Rickard's throat. He flinched, but did not run, as a small trickle of blood ran down his own neck.
Speak, then, if you must.
Where do you think he got the idea to orchestrate that little accident?
She tightened her grip and took several sharp, furious breaths, but then withdrew the knife and reeled back her hand.
You had no right to tell him.
You said yourself, it freed you from the stains of the past.
And how exactly did you know Lord Mooncrest would respond as he did?
Knowing what I did about the man, I thought it a safe assumption.
Safe? Yes, it was very safe for you. gambling with my honor.
If you knew Antonin Mooncrest, you'd know he was more likely to have me beheaded or castrated on the spot than he was to besmirch you.
Maybe so. But I still had a right to know before you did that.
Yes. Yes, you did, but I couldn't risk being seen consorting with you beforehand. So I wronged you once again in order to make things right.
Right? Have you any idea what I had to suffer at my brother's hand lest he tell anyone what you did to me? How many insults and injustices which can never be undone? And now you come here, days before my wedding, tell my betrothed to throw me off a horse, and you have the gall to say you've made things right?
That was the wrong way to say it. I only meant that my actions should be interpreted as my deepest and most abject apology, knowing as I do that mere words of contrition would be trivial in the face of your suffering.
I didn't ask for your apology, and I sure as Selburn will not feign forgiveness to ease your conscience.
I didn't ask for forgiveness, nor do I deserve it. I only ask that you not think of me as a monster.
What I think is mine to decide. It's the only thing that is. And if you wanted me to think kindly of you, perhaps you could have kept your God's damned breeches laced and not used me like some army page boy uses a pillow with a split seam.
I was hardly more than a boy myself.
And what was I?
You know how Ardell is, how he can make you feel. I was dumb with drink myself, but I'll never forget the way he said, "You want to be a man, don't you? You don't know what it's like for a boy. A boy who never becomes a man is worthless. He might as well be
a girl? Huh. Even worse, a girl without her virginity. Nothing is worth less.
No man can change the past, only make the best of the future."
Very well. I don't think you a monster. I think you a sad, broken boy who broke me as well. If you want to make the best of the future, get out of my life this instant and never return.
My lady.
He nodded and was gone. Arlene dropped the knife and sobbed.
Some days, which come to be important, start like any other. Others, you can feel the minute you wake. I was invited to Blackhold for the promotion ceremony of then Colonel Traft. But before they presented him, I had time to fraternize with the esteemed commanders of the 4 Civic Guard strongholds. Lord Robert Greenhorn, esteemed commander of Summerhold. Ivan, son of Morris of Seahold. Bryce Riverfell of Freehold. And of course, Dylan Kerr of Blackhold. This was 16 years ago. I remember because it was only a few weeks after Prince Uther was killed. Peaceful be his rest.
We were all very sorry to hear about His Highness, Brennan.
The loss of the prince still cut deep with all those faithful to the crown, and Ivan was already a few cups deep.
Here's to Prince Uther.
Everyone drank to that.
If it would help, I can dispatch a few men to Brimshire to aid with the investigation.
Thank you, General, but that won't be...
Wait. Prince Uther was slain near Brimshire? General, have your dreams continued?
In the wagon, Brennan shook his head as if hoping to clear the fog of fever.
No, but I haven't slept since we parted ways in that cave.
Dreams? There's been more dreams? Like prophecy dreams?
My father used to say anyone who says they're certain they've heard the voice of God is either a prophet or a madman. Either way, watch them well. Which is to say, I hesitate to use the word prophecy, but the details have become too uncanny to ignore entirely. I have dreamt the last 2 nights and seen the same young girl you described, Brennan.
but you only saw the girl after he described her.
What does this have to do with the Brimshire?
The night we spent in the monastery, the girl in my dreams said, "The blind man has seen the face of God." Keltier, that's why I talked with that poor man.
You encountered a blind beggar on the streets of Armstrongard. Hardly a miracle.
He was from Brimshire. He says he saw the prince murdered and believed Garadian did it.
Star, no one saw the prince's murder except the murderers. My men and I interviewed damn near half the kingdom in our investigation.
Above all else, the man seemed terrified he would be accused. You can understand that, can't you? Perhaps he went into hiding.
More importantly, that Garadian killed the prince is obviously a madman's raving.
Not if one believes in avatars.
You've now crossed from foolish speculation into blasphemy.
I'm not saying I believe it.
Well, I used to believe in Avatar until Shyamalan ruined the movie and the sequel sucked.
Sometimes a scholar puts forward a proposition, maybe even a distasteful one, without judgment, just to see how it holds up to new information received.
Hypothesis.
God bless you, babe.
We call this a provisional assertion. And the process of following a road of thought to its end, even if it ends in falsehoods or absurdities, often sets us on the path of truth.
Hey,
Regan struck Brennan in the forehead, jolting him awake.
you didn't finish your story, asshole. Nia, no offense, but we can get back on the path of truth later. I hear elven wine is a good shortcut.
Where did I leave off?
The other generals, they're all sorry about the prince.
Yes. Anyway, after the proper condolences were expressed, it was time to meet Traft. They were grooming him then to take over as esteemed commander of Blackhold.
Who was grooming him?
Taid Rilotit, Lord Commander of the Tarlo Heel.
The Knights of the Wood wanted to prove that with the right training and discipline, even a half-orc could become a servant of the realm.
An unfortunate miscalculation.
It was benevolent of them to try.
Dangerous bit of hubris, if you'd ask me. But no one did. And even rash as I was then, I knew enough not to speak to Taid Rilotit and has spoken to.
Real teat. Shh. So, this real titty guy, what is he, like the ultimate hard-ass?
The first day of her command, she rode 15 knights into an orc hive of over 300. This hive had recently raided a nearby human village, and she'd been ordered to carry out justice. So when she arrived, she ordered that all warriors should surrender and report for execution.
20-1. Ballsy.
Admittedly, only around 75 of that 300 were warriors of warren age, but orclings as young as 7 or 8 years have been known to take up arms.
Still 5-1. How'd you win the battle?
There was no battle. All 75 came quietly. They'd heard stories of the High Commander's prowess and decided it was easier that way.
The Tarlo Heel are the single greatest fighting force in Jordan, bar none.
Aye, and Taid Rilotit may be the most formidable warrior alive, and I would never say that lightly. So you can understand my shock when she returned to Blackhold that next morning, bloodied and without horse.
As Brennan continued to regale the party, Antonin Mooncrest was working on a story of his own. It was this he discussed in his army's command tent outside the walls of Castle Guernatal, with the troupe of stage players hired for the prenuptial festivities.
So, you're to perform this evening.
Yes, my lord. The comedy of the orc wife and the tragedy of Princess Rhiannon.
Antonin nodded to one of his men, who handed out scrolls to the players.
You will perform this instead.
My lord?
Instead of the plays you prepared, you will perform this one for the court.
With respect, my lord, I'm not sure you understand what it is we players of the theater do. It isn't rote recitation. A play takes time and thought to prepare. You can't just hand us a manuscript we've never seen before and expect us to perform it in the same evening.
Well, it needn't be perfect.
Beg your pardon, my lord, but aside from the pride we take in our work, we've our reputation as a company to consider. That's all we have to trade on. I know this isn't your trade, my lord, but no playwright would think your request reasonable.
I'll pay you tenfold what Redmore is paying.
Well, let's see what we have here. Have you read this?
Of course. I conceived of it and dictated it to my scribes.
This implies the Lord Regent had his sister raped and the High King murdered.
And if your performance is decent, I'll catch the conscience of the Lord Regent.
Oh, God. That line is terrible. You're not inspiring much faith in your skills as a playwright.
I needn't be praised for my verse, only to rouse Lord Redmore to rash action, so that I may see if my suspicions are founded.
Yes, I think it will rouse him. And I think his rash action will be to behead the players who just called him a murdering, usurping rape conspirator. How exactly is this plan supposed to end well for me?
What if, at the end of your performance, you simply recited a sonnet?
No sonnets.
What if someone else wrote the sonnet?
Fuck everything about sonnets.
Shut up, Edward, and mind your tongue around nobility. Forgive my man's manners, my lord. But if you want to call out Ardell Redmore, you'll have to do it yourself.
All the while, Ardell Redmore broke his fast alone in the great hall of Castle Guernatal. He was picking through far too much food for any one man to eat, when his sister strode in, walking with purpose. He sneered at her.
This is a pleasant surprise. To what do I owe it?
Where's my handmaiden?
I'm sorry, I don't know to whom you're referring.
My handmaiden, Gwen. The one I've had for the last 10 years.
Oh, you mean the base-born twat who used to follow you around like a sick dog? I'd forgotten all about her.
Where is she, and when can I see her?
Shouldn't you be in bed recovering from your accident?
I'll go nowhere until you tell me where she is.
Our investigation of her is ongoing. Now run along.
Damn you, Ardell.
Oh, hush now.
I will not be silent!
Ardell had to recover from his shock before he could turn to anger.
How about I return her to you one piece at a time for the next year?
I swear if you harm one hair on her head.
What? What will happen if I harm her?
I will blame myself, as you've trained me to do, and loathe myself more wholly than I ever have before. You will finally succeed in breaking my spirit completely. And then you shall need to fear me. Can you even fathom what a woman with nothing to lose is capable of? See if I don't burn down the tabernacle and dance laughing in the ashes. See if I don't fuck every man in the army until Mooncrest leaves in shame. See if I don't open my wrists at my own wedding feast. Try keeping this counterfeit peace with Antonin Mooncrest as you wash his betrothed's blood off of his finest clothes. So tell me, brother, do you really wish to reap all that you've sown?
Ardell searched his sister's face for any sign of weakness. He found none.
Who told him?
Pardon?
I thought we were past coyness. I know your little accident was nothing of the sort, but I also know it wasn't your idea. So tell me who gave Mooncrest the idea, and you can have your pet back, in no more wretched a state than you last saw her.
Arlene deliberated, as one often does when given a choice that isn't. Thus did Ardell come to pay an unexpected visit to his cousin Rickard, as Rickard wrote alone in the small room of Castle Guernatal in which he had been staying. Cousin, how do you fare?
Poorly. It broke my heart to hear.
Whatever you mean, I'm sure there's an explanation. Several of Ardell's men charged in and seized Rickard.
You've been speaking obscene and repugnant slanders against my sister.
I've done nothing of the sort.
Antonin Mooncrest says you've been bragging of how my sister gave her maidenhood to you 10 years ago.
Rickard's eyes widened with terror as he realized that, yes, his cousin would stoop that low.
You were there, you son of a whore!
Enough of your lies. You've gone far out of line and must be punished. Like an unruly hound. Guards!
Rickard remembered the man-at-arms coming forward with tongs and a red-hot knife, and then nothing. The next thing he could recall, He was screaming formlessly into a pillow and missing his tongue.
As I supped with the 4 esteemed commanders of the Civic Guard on that night 16 years ago, General Robert Greenhorn, the only nobleman of that party, inquired after his sister, the Lady Dagmar, who would one day be queen, you recall. Peace will be her rest.
So, Brennan, how fares my sister at court?
Well, I think the late prince...
Honoured be Uther's name.
Here,
here.
Here, here. Uther was not over fond of her, but I think he only hoped to honour the memory of his lady mother.
I understand. But I imagine he would feel that way about any lady of whom his majesty was fond.
Aye, pray you, let this stay at this table. But his majesty has spoken favourably to me about your lady sister on several occasions.
Ah, splendid. Any counsel you would give her were you in my place?
Well, no, nothing. Just do as she's been doing.
I'd rather know, Brennan.
It's... you know how women can gossip.
Gods, don't I know it? Especially if they've got some wine in them.
There's this courtesan swings by us now and then. Sweet girl treats the boys good, but they call her the Horn of the Elders. Tell her something, whole realm's gonna hear it.
But really, Brennan, what are they saying?
Oh, nothing too terrible. Just that she may be attracting the attention of some below her station. Not intentionally, of course.
Like whom?
Generals.
We all rose in her presence, and immediately bent our knees. The Lord Commander of the Knights of the Wood, with her golden armor and spiked saber, tied relotit.
Ha! Oh, sorry.
As you were. Allow me to introduce Colonel Traft.
He had barely 25 years then, could hardly grow a damn beard. But he wore clothes and hair like a man's, could almost pass for one. But I never liked the look of the bastard.
Shall we sit?
In any case, Reality asked each of us to impart the wisdom of our years on the whelp before he left for his first campaign. Being asked was an honor you did not refuse.
When I was a little younger than you, I was in a riding accident. My legs all messed up, and I said to my dad, I said, "God's damn, I gotta get another horse. This one's crazy." And my dad said, "I could get you another horse, but one day you'll have something you only get one of, and you'll have to make the best of it. So you better learn how to do that now. This is your only duty to the realm, son. There's a lot of honest people counting on you doing it just to go on with their lives. So you better make the best of it."
I will. Thank you, sir.
When a man does as much as you'll be doing for the realm, he may start to think he's entitled to certain allowances. It can be very easy to lose oneself in camp followers, for instance. You'll never be more than a man, though. Everything in moderation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Brandy before ale, smooth shall ye sail. Ale before brandy, you'll shit yourself.
Is no one else going to say it? You've got that orc blood in you, lad. Half of you comes from savage, treacherous, raping stock. Surround yourself with good men, and see that it doesn't get the better of you.
We all know his background, General Brennan. But we wouldn't be having this conversation had the Colonel not already shown much loyalty and valor. General Kerr, have you anything to add?
There was something sad about how long he took to answer.
No. There's naught I can say that will prepare you for what you'll see out there. Honor your charge as long as you can, and know when it's time to walk away.
Brennan shivered in the back of the wagon as he tried to continue his tale, but his fever worsened.
We finished our meals and retired to bed. At dawn, the High Commander and 50 civic guards set off for their campaign. I remember my dream that night so vividly. There was a dragon who had somehow trained a hawk. The hawk flew into a field, sent all the mice and the rabbits running. Then the dragon flew in and burned and ate everything.
So, Brennan, what happened with Traft and the raid?
And who was nailing that guy's sister?
Commander came back in the morning. No horse. Bleeding bad. Said Traff turned on them. More orcs coming. They were on us 10 minutes later. We held the fort. Terrible toll. A spear nicked my throat. Stone-tipped. Be dead if it were steel. Thank Galadin for elf medicine. Thought I was dead. Saw my own blood spray onto the walls of Blackhold. That cold dizziness creeping over my eyes.
Brennan's eyes rolled back as his face went slack.
Brennan! Sir Brennan!
Regan urged the horses faster.
Somebody hit him.
Nelson shook his head in emphatic refusal of the Queen's command. Billy reached a hand towards Brennan, closed his eyes tightly, and then lightly tapped Brennan's cheek before yanking his hand back and covering his head.
God damn it, I said hit him!
Jen, still holding her raw, swollen throat, kicked Brennan in the gut with all the strength she could muster. He started awake, but just barely.
Should be less than an hour to the gates. Sooner if we keep this pace.
Nia, if you know any prayers for making your god less of an asshole than usual, now would be a great time.
They rushed onward. Meanwhile, far to the west, outside the walls of the newly captured Blackhold, several of the Templars of Discord conducted a horrid ritual. 3 of them restrained a captured guardsman, while a 4th opened his throat. As his body fluttered and then fell still, his lifeblood sprayed onto the walls of the fort, onto which had been carved runes of an all but forgotten script. These now glowed with an eldritch fire. The Templars, tossing the lifeless body onto a pile of similarly butchered corpses, studied the pattern of the illuminated carvings. As the unnatural light faded, one headed into the fort to inform Traft of their new knowledge. General Traft was taking breakfast at the time in Blackhold's command room. He was surrounded by his orc chieftains and his new protégé, Smith the Smith. The room grew quiet with dread as the cloaked figure seemed to float in.
We have read the portents.
The Templar, of course, used an illusion enchantment to cloak his voice, like he cloaked the rest of himself. His effortless proficiency in the arcane arts did nothing to calm those around him.
The Stormbringer is nigh, and all shall crumble. We ride east.
Take your pick of the horses. We'll follow you in the morning.
The Templar nodded and left. The door seemed to close behind him without his pulling it. Smith and the chieftains exhaled palpable relief.
I'd hoped we could wait a little longer to march on Freehold. Riverfell's the least evil of the 4, I think. Oh well. He dies next.
I still do not trust the Templars, and respectfully, Brother General, I don't know why you do.
I don't trust them. They're not trustworthy, but they are predictable, which is good enough for wartime.
Sorry, what was that about a Stormbringer?
They're referring to a prophecy that's very important to their sect. They believe that when the time is right, a great agent of chaos will appear to solidify the rule of Garadian. The Templars follow me because they think I'm some kind of key to finding the Stormbringer.
Do you believe that?
Stranger things have happened in my life. Did I ever tell you all why they believe what they do?
No one seemed eager to respond in any way.
Suppose now's a good time as any.
And as Traft began his story, Nia prayed over Brennan, who drifted in and out of lucidity in the back of the wagon.
Please grant your grace to our dear friend and your loyal servant. Return his body to a healthy state of order and deliver him from illness, that most terrible agent of chaos.
Suddenly, Nia's mind made a connection it perhaps should have some time ago. You know how mortal minds can be.
Brennan, the king has loved my enemy, yes? That's what the girl said?
You still fucking on that?
I'm loath to say it, but avatars, dreaming, it's the only thread that can tie the visions together.
This line of thought is preposterous, and we haven't the time for it.
Brennan, I think you and I may have seen auguries of Galadan.
king never loved the enemy.
No, His Majesty was an honorable man. He would never have knowingly loved chaos. But if Garadian took a mortal form and deceived him... That beggar believed that Garadian took the form of a woman and that this woman killed the prince. I'm afraid there's no tactful way to ask this, Brennan. But had His Majesty ever mentioned any personal entanglements?
No, you're right. That's good. Angry's better than unconscious. Sir Brennan, was Gunther playing hide the long sword with anyone on the side other than my grandma?
No, I really am trying to deduce who it could have been. What friend of the enemy could have been close to His Majesty?
And at around the same time that Nia pondered this, General Traft reached a detail in his story which was shocking to Smith.
Wait, Dagmar Granital, the High Queen of Eordan took you as a lover.
Do you see what I tried to do there? The answer to Nia's question was, oh, you understood. Good. Just making certain mortal minds, you know. In any case.
Her name was Greenhorn then. She wasn't queen yet, but yes. I couldn't sleep that night, so I just kind of walked to nowhere.
General.
Dagmar looked like a dream that night. Maybe she was. Not yet. Promotion ceremonies in the morning before we leave.
I needed to see you before then. And touch you.
I couldn't match your gaze. Wasn't strong enough then.
You needn't go.
I gave my word, my lady.
And why do we keep our word?
When the elves change their mind and they take what they gave me, my word will be the only currency I've got.
And why should it be thus?
Could be much worse.
It could be tenfold better and then some.
Could be. But what do we give to get there?
Everything.
She kissed me then.
I'm willing. Are you?
No.
Ere this time tomorrow, I fear you will be.
Could be.
Very well, then. If I must lose you tomorrow, let me have you now.
We made love
It
under
didn't happen like that.
The chieftains all looked quite surprised by Smith's interruption.
I'm telling the story, Smith.
That's not how people make love. That's how a boy of 13 years tells his friends it happened, probably with some wench from Armstrongard. You wouldn't know her.
Are you calling me a liar, Smith the Smith?
Smith cowered and flinched under Traft's towering presence and furious gaze.
Not at all, sir. I only meant...
I'm fucking with you, Smith. There are two types of stories in this world. Lies people tell you about evil done to them, and lies they tell about evil they've done. The second kind is to be picked apart until only the twisted, wicked skeleton remains and then smashed underfoot. The first is to be cherished for all its nonsense.
Meanwhile, a very worried Arlene Redmore heard a stern knock on the door of her chambers. She hid her knife behind her back and opened the door. Gwen, though flanked by two Redmore men, looked healthy. Arlene thought it nearly too good to be true, and so hesitated to move lest she awake from this reverie. But when the guards pushed Gwen forward, and she fell into her lady's arms, Arlene knew she was warm flesh and pumping blood. As they breathed in the realness of each other, Ardell lurked into view behind Gwen. Arlene hugged Gwen tighter and looked at Ardell with furious intensity.
Don't worry, she's quite unharmed. And thank you for your help.
Ardell and his men walked away.
Oh, are you all right?
Yes. Gods, I missed you.
Are you... Did anyone...
I wasn't touched.
Oh, praise be.
I think they were short on men after that assassin made away through the dungeon. No one could afford to leave his post.
Oh, I nearly forgot.
Ardell oozed back into the doorway.
You're going to have a new neighbor.
Ardell's men dragged a barely lucid Rickard past the door. They lingered just long enough to display the dried blood covering his shirt.
Well, I couldn't abide him using my old chambers after he spoke such slanders against you. Don't worry, though. He'll be under constant guard, lest he try anything rash when the sedatives wear off.
Ardell slammed Arlene's door shut. She heard a key turn in her lock.
Who was that man?
That was my cousin, Ricard.
Not the one who...
The same.
Why did Ardell cut his tongue out?
There's so much to tell since you've been gone, but not tonight.
He deserves it and more. I'm frightened, milady. Very frightened.
I'll never again let you out of my sight. I swear on my life.
As Ricard's cries worsened, Gwen had a thought which disturbed her greatly.
What did Ardell mean when he thanked you?
He's only trying to play games with my mind.
We should leave.
Where would we go, Gwen?
Anywhere else. For both our sakes. Please leave with me.
We can't. Not now.
Then when?
Just lay with me, please.
It won't get better here.
Shh, it's all right, Gwen.
It's not all right. It's never been all right.
Do you remember the lullaby you taught me when we were young?
Please, Arlie, please, let's go,
There were two sisters by the sea, each as fair could be.
There's nothing to gain staying here.
The younger's voice was the purest but none, the elder's bright as candle in the sun. Into town one day there rode a knight, singing, "Here's where I'll find wife." The elder said, "This much I know, if he hears her sing, I'll be yet alone." So she called out, "Sister, come with me. Let's go walking by the sea." And the waves did thrash and the wind did churn, and only the elder did returned alone. Fa la 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 do do.
Traft stood high atop the ramparts of Blackhold, surveying the night.
When the younger's body washed ashore, the elder wept like the rest and more.
Smith stood with him.
She was consoled by the handsome knight, and ere long she was his wife.
Which type of story is yours?
One day a dragon came to town, stores devoured and homes burnt down.
I suppose it's a little both.
The knight hoped to the dragon slay, and thus was the sister widow made.
How much of each you'll need to judge for yourself.
Knowing that her doom was near, she thought of the sister once held dear.
Would you like to hear the rest of it?
So she crawled to the mound where the dead did rest, and cried upon her family crest.
Only if it's good.
A wicked, rotten wretch am I. Woe that I've but once to die.
As Brennan shook with fever,
Was not just you I drowned that day, the best part of me too washed away.
and Arlene Redmore sang.
Washed away, it washed away. Fra la 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 day day.
Traft told his story to the night.
And then a voice came from the earth, sweet and true and full of mirth.
We made love under the moon, as I said.
Sister, it's true you've done me wrong, but flesh is weak as love is strong.
As we lie under the stars.
I've still love for you to give, so promise me that you would live.
Dagmar looked at me. No. Through me and spoke.
Now take that spade, unearth my bones. I'll make you a flute so sweet of tone.
You're coming to a crossroads, my love.
So sweet of tone, so sweet of tone. Fa la 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 do do.
I can see the guard towers of the White Forest.
So she rode to town with flute bleached white and found the dragon in the night.
How much farther now? Yeah.
Lest the dragon burn her into cold, she played her flute with heart and soul.
The world is coming to a crossroads.
The fife it piped out clear and true, the voice of the sister she once knew.
And you shall choose our path.
The dragon sighed and then he wept, then drifted off and soundly slept.
The Stormbringer is nigh, and all shall crumble.
Gwen's crying calmed as she looked into Arlene's eyes. Together they sang.
And thus the elder's life was saved by the voice of the sister she once slayed. In life we do each other wrong, and all atone by love's sweet song.
A malodorous cart approached the White Forest gatehouse.
By love's sweet song, by love's sweet song.
And on the road from Blackhold, 6 Templars of Discord drove their horses into a breakneck gallop.
Stormbringer is nigh, and all shall crumble.
For additional information and bonus content, access onceandfuturenerd.com on your computer machine. New episodes are released every other Sunday. The Once and Future Nerd is written and created by Zach Glass and Christian Madera, and directed and edited by Christian Madera. It is performed by Rhiannon Angel, Garrett Armin, Dan Dobransky, Lily Drexler, Hayes Dunlap, Anya Gibeon, Ian Harkins, Paul Notice, Frank Querez, and Julie Reed. It is co-executive produced by Jess Kelly. Alex Story is an associate producer. The Once and Future Nerd is recorded by Brian Forbes at the Gallery Recording Studio in Brooklyn, New York, with second unit production sound by Gary O'Keefe. Foley, sound design, and mixing is done by Sandra Ramirez. Theme music is composed by Tom Lee. Thanks for downloading.